The Last Avengers story by Peter David witnessed a dark event that I would like to review. The 2 issues run takes place in an alternate reality, where the story opens at the Shoreham nuclear power plant, the headquarters of the Avengers, who do not look like the Avengers we know in the canon reality. The heroes in this reality sit around doing nothing and wait for the action to happen. The action finally happens, and the nuclear power plant is detonated, causing the death of all the Avengers. The superheroes are gone, but no one has stepped forward to claim credit for this devastating and fatal assault. None of the original Avengers, including the group co-founder Henry Pym, has made any public statement. Meanwhile, Dr. Henry Pym and his wife Janet Van Dyne are living the consequences of the Avengers' loss. Janet's physiology was breaking down, as she was shrinking at the rate of an inch a year. She discovered that the only man to whom she could relate, emotionally and physically, was her former husband, Hank Pym. The devoted husband spent the subsequent decade searching for an antidote, and the search continues, but with no results. The press finally find Hank's place and rush to interview him, but Hank says that there was a reason to isolate himself from people and media. He also says that he has no comments about the death of the Avengers. Janet loses her temper when a journalist asks whether the villains have already won. She demands that the press get out of there and leave them be. Later on, Hank tells Janet that he can't believe that the Avengers are gone and wonders who could have done it, when they are suddenly interrupted by the culprit who killed the Avengers. Ultron 59 appears and tells Hank that he is responsible for the Avengers' deaths, and since Hank created Ultron, that would make him responsible too. Ultron tells Hank to gather his troops for the final battle against Ultron and his allies, at a time and place of his choosing. Hank accepts the challenge and starts gathering his team. He goes back to the location of the detonated nuclear power plant to try to find anything useful, but he finds nothing. Hank didn't expect to find survivors, but he was hoping the armory would be intact. Suddenly, a chunk of debris falls over Hank and Janet, but they are saved by Cannonball, to be followed by the Human Torch, who is happy to see Hank. Janet then goes to do some looking around and finds Hercules' mace, which brings back painful memories about the great cataclysm. There was some great risk to the realms of Asgard and Olympus nearly 2 decades ago, and less importantly to the Earth itself. Thor and Hercules joined forces with Hulk and Thing, but they were departed through a vortex created by Thor's hammer and vanished. For 2 months, humanity was moved to riot and panic, as horrid weather pummeled the entire planet, and nowhere was spared except Paris. The foul skies then cleared, and the only testimony left behind was an unconscious Hulk, lying embedded in the side of Mount Parnassus in Greece, clutching the mace of Hercules, and with skin the color of slate. Later on at Washington Square, a lunatic takes the arch as a place from which he shoots randomly, yelling that he owns the square. Jessica Wingfoot, also known as She-Hulk in this reality, works with the SWAT team and steps in to stop the lunatic. She tells him to come down, but he responds with shooting at her. Enraged, Jessica destroys the arch with a punch and stops the maniac. The officer commends Jessica for what she did, but tells her that there was no need to trash the arch. Hank then approaches Jessica and calls her by the name. She is so excited to see Hank and kisses him, wondering if he's heard about the nuclear detonation. Hank tells Jessica that he came for that and tells her the whole story, offering her to join his team, and she accepts. Hank and Jessica then go to recruit Hawkeye and his wife Mockingbird, who turns Hank down and tells him to go away, but Hawkeye lets them in and recognizes Jessica in her She-Hulk form. Clint reveals that he is blind, but doesn't need to use a cane to get around the house anymore, as it got mapped out in his mind. Hank says that he needs every single hero he can get in this battle, but Barbara doesn't like what she hears and walks away. Hank tries to stop her and tells her that they fight together or they lose their lives, but Barbara slaps Hank, enraging Jessica, who tries to interfere, but Hank tells her to calm down. Jessica yells that Clint is just a deluded blind, and Barbara is a surly wife, and that they are still mad about something happened 18 years ago. Although her father was killed before she was born, and her mother took off, Jessica doesn't whine about it. Barbara tells Jessica that she doesn't know what she's talking about, because she wasn't there when it happened. Barbara recalls the apocalyptic battle between the Avengers and Ultron 19, which turned into a lopsided mismatch when Hulk switched sides. The Avengers team consisted of Hulk, Wonder Man, Hawkeye, Mockingbird, and Tigra, but they hadn't realized until that moment that Hulk had become evil after his return from his otherworldly battle, betraying his teammates to Ultron. Hawkeye fired his arrows into Ultron until it was a sonic disruption arrow which destroyed the villain. Tigra then attacked Hulk and tried to claw his eyes out, but Hulk overpowered her and ripped her in half in front of her fellow Avengers. Wonder Man attacked Hulk with all his power, vowing to avenge the death of Tigra. Mockingbird knocked out Hawkeye and dragged him from the site, because Hulk and Wonder Man were destroying everything in their path. Hulk pounded on Wonder Man until his impenetrable skin took its toll, accomplishing what had been thought to be impossible, as Hulk cracked Wonder Man's hide. The energy which gave Wonder Man his power and life flooded uncontained. Hulk realized what was coming and tried to escape, but Wonder Man wouldn't allow it. Hawkeye, who woke up later on, turned in the direction of the battle, just in time to gaze upon a release of energy, unknown and unparalleled, causing him to become blind. So that was the battle which took place between the Avengers and Hulk after he turned evil, which resulted in Hulk brutally killing Tigra and fatally injuring Wonder Man. Hulk would not perish from such explosion, in my opinion, but that was how Peter David wrote the scenario in this alternate reality. Hope you liked the video. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. Thanks for watching, and have a nice one.